Oh, this is such a lovely Thursday evening. I've got Will Marsh from the Goat Agency, Senior Account Manager, and I've also got CJ Frogozo from Thinx, all the way over from New York. It's an absolute delight to have you here in London.
Yeah, I hope my doggy Drake wanders over here at some stage.
Yes, so do I. He's being very well looked after by Megan behind the camera.
But to be fair, he looks rather comfortable there, so no offense.
Yeah, and Drake is a major part of your life, and the office culture. When I walked into Thinx last week, like he's a major character.
He really is. He's a fixture. As I was saying to you, a lot of people are like, oh, yay, Drake is here, and like literally no attention to me. Glad you showed up, Siege.
He's a great bloke, and one that I thoroughly enjoy spending time with on both sides of the Atlantic.
He's a real lad's lad.
So Thinx.
Yeah.
We've been working with you for quite a while now, across multiple different territories, but mainly in the US. Let's start about what the product is. What are you trying to sell?
So I'm actually going to start with a little history lesson.
Okay, cool.
There has been no innovation in the period space until Thinx came on the market in 2014, since 1937 with the invention of the menstrual cup. So like, think about all the things that have happened since 1937. We created iPhones, toaster, like I don't know if toasters. We put a man on the moon.
Yep.
But
we created Will Marsh.
We created Will Marsh.
Yeah, one of the biggest feats of the 20th century.
Huge innovation.
Massive innovation. But like we didn't create anything for half the world's population, right?
That's crazy.
So, I mean, basically young people were putting old things in their bodies. Thinx is a range of absorbent underwear. We actually have 3 ranges under Thinx Inc. One is Thinx, which is underwear that absorbs your period. The second one is Thinx Between, which is period underwear for teens and tweens. And then Speaks, which is underwear that absorbs mild to moderate bladder leaks.
Okay.
And it's completely washable, reusable. It's a really sustainable solution to traditional period products. So it's really, I mean, listen, if I had Thinx as a young girl, I would have been much happier than with the solutions that were provided to me.
And what was really interesting when I talked about it before we went live with this, but when I walked into the office and just listening to how you guys speak about things and how you speak about the product and what you're actually trying to achieve, and I really do feel like, and it's the goal for most big companies and most new products to market too, is to have this incredible mission, something you're actually trying to achieve with the product you're bringing to the market. One, you need to get people to love it, but also you're trying to do something good for the world. Yeah. And your mission is to make change for 50% of the population.
Yeah, I think that, we are, in a lot of ways, we're our mission first, right? So our mission, as it says, all of our walls, is to empower everybody through innovative solutions and social change. If we can help these people have sort of healthier, more sustainable lives in which their bodies are not in contact with harmful chemicals, we're ready for it. And within that conversation is a lot of questions around gender equity and equity, more largely speaking. So, we're really here not just to provide like more underwear for you to have in your underwear drawer, but also, foster conversations about things that are normally taboo, like periods and bladder leaks. I mean, what I think is amazing right now is I'm talking about period and bladder leaks with 2 guys, right?
I thought we'd bring the changes. When I first got told you were coming on the podcast, and we hadn't met before because this was before I went to New York last week. I talked to the girls in marketing. I said, I'm going to need a girl to come on here and help me out.
Right.
And then I thought, actually, who better to come on and talk about period products with Thinx than Will Marsh, who's been obviously working with you for a long time, and having talked to him over the last few days or preparing for this, knows a hell of a lot about the product and what you're actually trying to achieve, and really bought into the vision and the mission about what you're trying to do. And, having spoken with you for the last 7 days, quite a lot, I think, I'm certainly a long way down learning about what you're actually trying to do as a business.
I mean, because I think you're integral to this conversation. I mean, while it's like half the world menstruates and a third of the world has bladder leaks, like you are part of this conversation. And in order to break the taboos and start to foster these conversations in which we can speak openly and freely about periods and bladder leaks, you're required on the journey.
Exactly that. And I think that was like, we worked together. The first time we worked together was probably 1.5 years ago. And actually, I've been here a year and 6 months or so. And like when this first came up and as an opportunity for me, is I am one of a very big family, immediate or extended or otherwise. I'm the oldest of the sibling group, and majority of them are like young girls, and they, I've seen them grow up way too fast. But for me, I've experienced that with friends and family and all these so for me, it's important that they're looked after. And like in the same way that you've just said, like we need to break those taboos, and like it should be okay for us all to talk about it. And one of the things you said a second ago was, and which I wanted like almost like a reason as to why you guys changed it, because am I right in saying you did your slogan changed? It was like for women who menstruate to every people who menstruate. Is that right?
Yeah. So we changed from women with periods to people with periods. Because not everybody who has a period identifies as a woman. So, and that was like a very important shift for us. You know, we were the first company to feature a trans model in our campaigns. And we're really about true inclusivity and diversity in our campaigns, because part of this taboo breaking is simply that, is recognizing it's not just people like me or women or girls that have periods. It's also people that identify as men that have periods. And they're experiencing something real, and at times something dangerous, because it's not talked about. So thank you for bringing that up. It is really core to our mission.
Yes, because again, you said like obviously like gender taboos and things like that is obviously one part of it. And then actually you mentioned again about like the people use like panty liners and things from like so using old things that they're putting in their bodies. Is like, am I right in saying there's like an environmental aspect to this as well? Is this
absolutely? Yeah, because our product is completely reusable. We have, effectively, a person with a period uses up to 275 pounds of period products in their lifetime, and all of that is going into a landfill where it takes literally centuries for it to decompose. I don't know if you obviously you watch the news. Like this is a massive issue, and this is a massive waste creator, a single-use plastic creator. And I think that to the extent that we can start to solve for that, we're starting to do our bit, right, to be better for the planet and better for our bodies as well.
Sure. Yeah. In terms of like everything that Thinx stands for seems to be very much like a movement or like it has a cause or something. Everything these are which are breaking these taboos are very big at the moment. If it's gender equality, if it's environmental issues and things like that. I also saw like some of the other like activities that you do, and I'm right in saying it's part of I'm gonna say it's called Period, or isn't it? And you're part of this, and I saw you guys did almost like a demonstration outside the Department of Education.
Yeah, we did. So we launched a campaign called United for Access late last year. Basically, we teamed with Period, which is the largest youth-run NGO in the world. And the campaign was focused on providing free and easy access to period products to students in the U.S. We had a petition, which has, to date, 112,000 signatures.
Okay.
So it is
amazing.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
We have moved 5 school districts to change their policies on period products, because I'm just going to back up. So the reality is that you wouldn't bring toilet paper to school, right? Would you? Did you have to bring a loo roll?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely. Although if I did, I would have chosen the most cushioned loo roll possible.
Cottonelle. Which, by the way, I enjoy your commercials for Cottonelle way better here. You have like this very cute koala.
What's Cottonelle as a UK brand?
I don't know. I know Andres because we've got the cute little puppy.
Yeah.
That's as far as I go with toilet paper.
Cashel, maybe?
That, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. Cottonelle has a koala. But you wouldn't bring a loo roll to, I have to use the right terminology whilst I'm in the UK.
No, you far away. Toilet paper's fine.
Yeah, but I like loo roll better. You wouldn't bring that to school, so why would you bring a tampon? It's the same thing with respect to personal hygiene, isn't it? So we teamed Period to create this campaign, United for Access. We have 112,000 signatures on it. We also, part of that, we did a demonstration in front of Department of Education calling on Secretary Betsy DeVos to support us in our mission. And we literally projected onto the Department of Education the same message from the petition. Amazing. And it was spectacular, and it was just a really good moment. And to that point, I'm not going to scoop myself, but we are going to be releasing some really amazing research on menstrual equity and period poverty in the U.S. later this fall. So
amazing. Is that
watch this space?
I definitely will. Is that part of what Thinx do as well? Do you have like a research and development thing going on?
We don't. So we actually contracted a research firm in the U.S. to do the research, but I just saw the top line results and they're pretty shocking.
Yeah.
But
so PR is obviously a big part of your job, but also when it comes to research and insight, and this is because it's such a taboo subject. That's quite something that lots of the papers and the online magazines and things like that like to write about because people want to read about it.
Right.
So is PR or has PR been very, very important for you guys in the growth since 2014?
Absolutely. I mean, we were sort of put on the map because of PR in a lot of ways. So in 2015, we launched a Subway campaign in which initially our Subway ads were rejected because, they effectively, the MTA, Mass Transit Authority, said, you can't talk about periods on the subways. What? And we're like, yeah, we can. 2015. We're like, yeah, we can. We sure can.
Something you'd expect to be like 1980.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 4 years ago.
2014.
Amazing.
So, literally, we had a picture of a grapefruit, which, to be fair, looked like a vagina, and it was meant to. And it said, Thinx for women with periods. We, as you know, we've since changed our slogan. Yeah. That ad was rejected. And literally, and because it was rejected, we got some press off the back of it.
Yeah. Kind of almost better.
Yeah. Well, we eventually got approved. But really, that press, it drove a lot of brand awareness for us, right? And since that point, every time we go into a new market, press loves talking about us. So we were just we just launched a Gallery Lafayette, as you guys know, in Paris, and I've never in my 17 years in PR. Who knows? I've been in PR since 1942, since almost the invention of the menstrual cup. We got a story in, France in book 2 weeks later. That's unheard of in my business, right? To actually be in book, not online. So, every time we go, and same thing happened to us in the UK. Same thing happened to us in Australia. Every time we go to a new market, we're so new and so innovative that it just happens. The PR happens.
One of the, I think, when we were talking to some of the other guys about things before this, and guys Googled it, Thinx advertisements, right? And the first thing that comes up is Thinx are known for their controversial advertisements as well. And it's interesting that you say it was the same here and in Australia as well. And that must have been more recent, right?
Right. Well, we didn't get press off the back of the controversy. We just got press off the back of, holy shit, there's period underwear. Am I allowed to say shit here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great.
Say again.
I don't know, because I sometimes I find myself saying shit. I'm like, can I? I don't know.
Yes, you can.
You're in England.
Okay,
yeah, anything goes.
Amazing. All right. Excellent. I won't be censored.
Absolutely not. But obviously with PR, also kind of covers what we've been helping you with. So influence has been a major part of your push as well for the last few years. And I think it's it kind of fits your product better than quite a lot of other products because it's all about third-party advocacy.
Right.
It's about someone else telling their story about why they require the product, why they think the product's the right thing to use.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, it's so new. It's a new way of thinking for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's just such a massive behavior change, right? So we actually did some studies before we launched Thinx Between, in which we discovered that young people with periods follow whatever their mother used. So if your mom used Kotex tampons, you too will use Kotex tampons. If your mom used Always maxi pads, that's what you end up using. So to create this behavior change, it's almost insurmountable. Also because of the taboo, there's all these sort of roadblocks to changing the behavior. And so what we've learned is that third-party validation is really what sells the product, because if your friend says, oh, this works for me, or I really love this, you're more apt to buy it, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But even more so with period underwear, A, because it's so personal, and B, because the behavior change is so hard and the behavior inertia is so strong. So, unlike, let's see, for example, I use this sometimes, my AirPods. At first, when I saw them, I thought it looked like everybody had Q-tips sticking out of their ears. I didn't want them.
Yeah, I've got the same pushback in the UK and from loads of people in this office who now walk around with them permanently fixed in their ears.
People talk to you with them in. It's weird. And I'm like, but then one person said, no, I really love them. And I'm like, oh, I like her. I'll buy them too. Right? Things are completely different. You need so many more touches down the marketing funnel than you do with any other products. So, but influencers in particular, because oftentimes I think that many people have they feel like they have this relationship with an influencer. It's almost like a friend, right? So if they're saying that they love the product, then I'm more apt to love the product.
Yes.
I literally like shop off influencers. I'm like,
well, you follow them for a reason, don't you?
Yeah,
for their
like,
advice and
exactly.
what they're doing. And
I'm like, what is she wearing? I'm like, click, buy. Okay. Apple Pay.
Yep.
Bye.
But you're I think with a product like this, because it's weird because you're hitting the ability to hit such a broad audience because it's girls, but at the same time you have to be quite niche with what the message is and quite smart as to what your brand image is, because it's all about female empowerment, and it's all about being the right woman. So although we're trying to get to all women, I think the message has always been very clear for you, that you're trying to get to a certain type of woman through the message and the advocacy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, to be fair, I would love to see Thinx in every person with a period's underwear drawer, right? Every single person, because, I mean, two things. It's just a lot better. I know you guys will never get to experience it, but it is a
third party. We both have girlfriends, and you. That's another thing why you need to get the guys on side, right? Because and there needs to be conversations, because it is a thing, and we experience it not physically, but we do in life.
Hold that thought.
Hold that thought. There's some research there. There's some research there.
We're gonna come back to it, but the more people we get using the product, not only is it a better solution and it's a more comfortable solution, and in some ways a safer solution because of the lack of chemicals, but you know, the environmental impact is just massive, right? And I just think I can't stop coming back to that, because literally just thinking about so we did a beach cleanup with some influencers in the Hamptons, and literally picking up tampon applicators off the beach. You know, I don't know if you saw that story of the whale they sort of dissected in Scandinavia, but its stomach was full of plastic bags and tampon applicators. I mean, that's absurd. It's crazy. Right? But to the point of the men coming along for the ride. So as you know, we did the pop-up in Stoke Newington last Christmas. I had men come to the shop with like a piece of paper and said, my girlfriend would like this one, and this one. I don't know what colors. Okay, she wants these too. She didn't know that you.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, take some photos of it. I did exactly the same. So you know, I was there. My girlfriend said exactly that, because she follows you on Instagram, and Danny does talks about it all the time. She's phenomenal. And
I definitely want to talk about her.
100%. And I was doing exactly. She was like, you need to get me these, and these. But she did give me colors, so I got away.
It's incredible, and I think that happens at every pop up. We've got men coming in, partners coming in, just saying, my girlfriend needs these, and I'm like, it's all right, we got you. Don't worry about it. Totally safe space. You're accepted.
And I suppose that's also breaking down the taboos for guys as much as it's breaking down the taboos for girls. Why do you think, and maybe we're moving into politics before we move into some of the other stuff, why do you think nothing's changed in that long a period of time?
I mean, there's this word, you might have heard it before, the patriarchy. Like, I mean, where it's just, we've got men in government, right? And it's like, because like you guys are just coming along on the ride, not just, but many of men are just coming along for the ride now, because we've got a bunch of men in our government and in yours, like who don't experience periods or bladder leaks. I guess some men experience incontinence, but not to the large extent that women do. It's just not a problem they have to solve for, right? So they have to solve for ED, erectile dysfunction, because that directly affects them, but because they're not at a meeting accidentally bleeding on the white conference chair, they don't see it as an issue, do they? So I think that's sort of the root of the issue. I think it's a large part of the issue. But I also just think, you know, there's just been this inertia to it too, because women have, in some ways, like, because like even my mother, like when I got my period, she kind of pulled me aside, you know, closed the door and she said, you know, you're a woman now. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell. Right? So it's like, it's all these conversations that are happened like in whispered tones with behind closed doors, both of men and women. And I think that the more we talk about it in podcasts like this, we start to move the needle a little, like bit by bit. And as we change our governments and start to bring more women into parliament, more women into Congress, those conversations become even more prevalent, don't they?
Well, and how have Thinx have they made any kind of change? Like, obviously, you're pushing for those changes. Has that ever come to fruition for anything? Have you ever seen like a Thinx, we did this?
Yeah, well, not on a state, city, or federal level, but in these school districts, we are seeing changes there. So I said, the 5 school districts now provide free and easy access to period products in schools. And those period products, just so you know, are available in all bathrooms, regardless of gender.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, amazing.
Nice. And no, this shows me up for not doing my research to the depth that I probably should have. But is there anywhere in the world where the tax isn't in place for tampons?
I don't actually. It's in 37 states in America. In the UK,
It certainly
is.
Yeah.
It's nationwide in the UK.
Yeah.
I don't.
But like, is there
honest,
any
I don't
countries
know.
leading the way? Like, is there a correlation? I'm just thinking like, and I don't know the answer, but Germany have had a female leader for a long time.
Yeah.
Have they made a change? Scandinavia are normally very, very forward thinking. Have they made a change? What the rulings in, and I know we've talked about it, what the rulings in China, is there anywhere that's gone, we're going to do this?
I don't know. I'll get back to you on that. But the campaigns, there's a very strong campaign to end the tampon tax in the US, as I know there is in the UK. It just seems absurd that we would be taxed on a necessity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the US and the UK market, having worked across both?
I think they're quite similar in a lot of ways, but I think that you guys are a bit more progressive around single-use plastic. Didn't the Queen say something about how they would end single-use plastic on all royal properties?
Yes.
By 2020?
Everyone's making their plea.
Yeah.
And their manifesto for the next few years.
I think that you really lead the way on sustainability relative to the US. I mean, you can still get a plastic bag at every bodega in New York City. I mean, it's, I think. Even,
do you have to pay for plastic bags in the US?
Sometimes not. Just it's a state by state or even city by city initiative.
Right. Okay. So it's nationwide in the UK. You have to pay if you want a plastic bag. You have to pay.
Oh, is it
10p?
Yeah,
10p. It was 5p, and there was outrage that we were paying 5p, and then everyone was like, "That's okay," and then it was kind of like congratulated that we put it up to 10.
Oh,
because 5p wasn't enough to put people off. And it was a huge push around that same sort of time for the Bag for Life, which is that a thing in the US? Bag for Life. So the Bag for Life is like. All the supermarkets branded up their own bags, and you bought them for £2.
Yeah,
sort of like heavy duty plastic bags, like not like a thin white plastic bag, like really heavy duty, more like almost like a canvas bag. And you would take them time and time again to the shop. So you'd leave them in your car, and then you'd buy 3, but you'd use all 3 for the whole year.
Right.
So. That's interesting. So you're right. We're thinking probably way ahead of what we even think we are in the UK.
Yeah, and actually the fact that you just said it's like ultimately we went from 5p outrage, which is the most British thing to be annoyed about ever, and then 10p like congratulate because of the change. And that is the whole plastic thing is obviously a very big thing at the minute for us, and very strange, interesting that it's different. But what about like in terms of the taboos around periods as well, about talking about it? Is it different in the UK to the US as well? Like, are the US more progressive and they're more happy to talk about it? Or
I don't want to say one sweeping thing about the US or even the UK, to be fair, because I think regionally, like New York, happy to talk about periods.
Yeah.
London, happy to talk about periods. Where I was born, Terre Haute, Indiana, I was actually born in Detroit, but anyway, I don't know, they might be less happy to talk about periods. But I think that, sort of coastal or cities in the US or Southeast UK, I mean, happy to talk about periods for the most part. But I think that with respect to the US and the UK, I think we still have a long way to go. We've come a long way. We still have a much longer journey ahead of us.
We want the answer to that question to be like, everyone's happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Everybody's happy to shout about it. It doesn't matter.
What's been the biggest challenge so far? So you've got the branding, you've got the going against the taboo, you've got just building a business is tough, raising funding's tough, going through all those different processes. What's been, I think there's 2 different questions actually. What's been the biggest challenge for the company, and what's been the biggest challenge for you in your role?
I still think the behavior change, even across both, right? I think that it's still, for the business, listen, the early adopters have the product, love the product. Our lifetime value customers are amazing. They buy we release a new product, we drop a new product, and they buy it. right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's still getting to that person, right? Like getting to the person who hasn't tried it, who thinks it's a little bit gross, who like thinks it's gross, like doesn't understand the technology. And I think actually that's where we do these pop-ups and we have these influencers talking about it, because they can actually talk to product functionality, right?
Yeah.
You can talk to, this is what happens. You do bleed into your underwear. Don't worry. It's not gross. You don't feel wet. It doesn't smell. And it's very easy to clean. So, I mean, I think that's a part of it. Like getting over the, ooh, it's gross thing and finding new customers.
Influencers are a big part. Like seeing someone that, you respect on social media for whatever reason, you follow them for advice, for inspiration or whatever. And then they come out and they say these things. And they say these things and they're happy to write it down, and it can be, and it's there forever. Like that must make a big difference as well.
Yeah, it makes I mean, again, it's like, so behavior changes and third-party validation. That's like, it's literally like tattooed in my brain, right? Like without those two pieces, it's very hard to convert a customer, right? Yeah. So it was even hard to convert me until I was interviewing for the job. I'm like, don't get it. And the other thing that we come across too is that because of our Subway ads, we have massive brand recognition. But a lot of people are like, well, what the fuck do they do? Like, it's like, they're great, women's empowerment. We love it. We love it. We love it. But but we don't get it.
And what's the product? What does it do?
Yeah, what does it do?
Yeah. Why is it better?
What is period-proof underwear? Does it mean I'm not going to get my period? Literally, that was a question that was asked of me.
Wow.
But I think that's why, like I say, influencers and also like these pop-ups that we have influencers come to are so important, because we need these like one-on-one conversations, whether it's digitally or otherwise. Because I know some of the influencers even DM our customers when they ask questions. It's to understand, like, yes, it's this thin. Yes, it works. No, it will, you won't smell. You'll be fine. Don't worry, darling. We got you. Right. So I think that's, and I guess from a press perspective, while we have, as I say, while we've come a long way, it's still sometimes hard to sell periods. Right. Like, we're the media market is kind of weird. It's getting bigger, but it's also getting smaller, fewer reporters, fewer outlets. Like, do they want to use their precious inches to talk about periods? I don't know. Sometimes not. Right. So, finding fresh angles around it too, because, in the US, we're not that new anymore, which is why I think that when we go into these new markets, we get a load of press off the back because we're new to them.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I think you said to me once, it was like, everything like you were telling me about, it's very difficult to get them in, but once people try it, that's pretty much it. They're like, shit, this works. Yeah. And this is amazing.
Seeing is believing.
Yes, that's the word you use.
It is. Seeing is believing.
Is there, and you talked about the different products that you've got, and Thinx has 3, and it's targeted towards 3 different age groups. What are the buying habits of the 3 different age groups? And there's obviously a different message that you have to get with all those different people. You have to be probably a bit more careful when you're targeting the younger age group, about how you message, and kind of more reassuring. And then the middle age group, which is the bulk of your customers, I imagine, which is 18 to 40.
A little younger, but yeah.
So that those people have embraced the situation,
right?
And then you've got the older age group, which is for your other product, and that again probably eases more into the kind of cautious messaging side. How do you manage the 3 of those in one office, one communication strategy, and how do you change it up?
Yeah. Well, I would say, the thing with incontinence, or bladder leaks rather, is that in some ways it's even more taboo than our periods, right? And they're certainly not politicized. Like, periods get political. Bladder leaks, not so much. I mean, part of it is because bladder leaks usually means something's wrong. Like, something's happened and something's wrong. Okay. Period, you just get. Nothing's wrong. In fact, it's healthy, right? So the taboo around bladder leaks is still a bit stronger than that around periods. So the buying habits are quite different, because you really only need Thinx once a month, right? God willing. Like, you're a healthy person, you need Thinx once a month. If you have bladder leaks, you need Speaks every day, right? So, so do it. So kind of like figuring out that balance, and to get the Speaks customer to buy more products such that her entire underwear drawer becomes just Speaks, whilst the Thinx drawer, like my drawer, is about 10%, probably more Thinx, and the rest everything else.
Yeah.
And then for the between customer, it's different, because oftentimes if the mother doesn't use Thinx, then it's sort of like, I don't know. But getting the mother to use it first and marketing to the mother, because that's who has the buying power within that relationship.
Which goes back to what you were saying earlier about you use what your mum used or whatever.
Right. So I mean, just anecdotally, when we were in Sydney doing the pop-up in Australia, and when we did the pop-up there in Sydney, mom came with her daughter and she bought her daughter a load of underwear, and she goes, well, I may as well get one for me too, just to make sure they work. And I'm like, great,
perfect.
Get 3.
Yeah. Take it all. Come on. Yeah.
And we split the influencer stuff into 2 different pods, really.
Right.
We look at obviously paid ambassadors and things that we're doing with larger influencers, and events and things like that. And we also have a leaders program that we kind of empower people to become huge product advocates and ambassadors. And they're very different techniques. What are you seeing from the different types of influencer marketing that we've
so the smaller influencers as leaders are brilliant. We haven't really tested like a large influencer with leaders, but oftentimes around the third party validation, the more the leaders can talk about the product and how they loved it, and they're rewarded for it, right? So they come on, they come on as a leader, they sell the product, they sell it super authentically. You believe them, that they're not really being paid, although they're earning commission off the back of the sale. But I think that the leaders have just kind of become their own like sort of cottage industry, if you like. And they can kind of run their own business. They can kind of write their own ticket, right? They can make as much or as little as they'd like. Whereas, what's interesting though with our influencers on the other side of the coin is I think they've become such amazing brand lovers. Like, for example, we brought on Ingrid Nielsen, who's a period influencer, to do a YouTube video about the product. And while that video did well, like she's become a brand friend and she just like talks about us anyway. Yeah. Right. Because I think the product is that life changing that you'll talk about it whether you're being paid or not. So,
and then people who are talking about things and those big brand ambassadors, Danny's role in all of this, like
awesome.
She's an incredible person. And like I said, like my girlfriend watches her, friends of mine watch her. Like I advise other girls to follow things and to listen to what Danny has to say. Like what, like you can probably explain this a lot more than I can, but like what does she do on those Instagram stories?
So
like
she is, she does the PMS stories. So she talks about everything from period poop to working out with big boobs, right? So it's sort of like no topic goes untouched with Danny. Yeah. And I think that openness and that authenticity around speaking about topics that people don't necessarily want to talk about is incredible. And that's sort of what you're looking for, aren't you? Like when you're like seeking information, you want unfiltered information.
Yes.
Right? You don't want information that perhaps came through
euphemizes or like goes around the subject. You just like, this is what it is and that's okay.
Just give me the details. Like, why is my poop weird when I'm here? Why can I not poop? Like the spectrum of poop. That was actually one of our best performing vlogs.
I watched that one
of all time.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Period poop.
Where did the idea for having like that ultimate brand ambassador come from? That person, that spokesperson.
Well, it was just something that we sort of played with. We just tried it.
Did it happen organically?
Totally organically.
Oh, really?
There really wasn't like this remit of like, we're going to create a web series about topics we don't want to talk about. It was just this thing, everything because we're kind of still lean, mean, and scrappy. In fact, my team, the community team, are sort of like too long didn't read thing. We're scrappy as fuck. We just try shit and like see if it works. We test, iterate, and carry on. So Danny with the PMS videos has just been a massive success. We get so much engagement off of them, and she speaks just so beautifully about it, and she really loves and cares about the product. And she started on our CX team. So
really?
Yeah. So she spoke to 1 million customers. She went on the road. We had this thing, it was called the PMS truck that drove from New York to Chicago to Dallas to Denver. Right. And we created these period specialist appointments. Danny is one of the period specialists. And literally we just met with people, talked periods, told them what things were right for them. We did some panels, some events in each city, and then we like carried on.
Amazing.
In terms of long-term and influence marketing.
Yeah.
It's obviously what we do, what we've been doing with you for 18 months now. What is it that you see influencer marketing becoming in the long term? Like, how can you see it becoming more and more integral, or do you see it becoming more and more integral to the wider marketing strategy? we're obviously talking to you about, how we can help with social stuff and how influencers becomes part of wider conversations around different topics inside the business as well. Like how can we use them to survey products or build insight into what else is going on around the conversations. Where do you see the influencer market going, and with Thinx as kind of like a case study?
I think that we, as you know, and we're trying to scale this leaders program, right? It is a highly efficient channel for us, and we're just going to see where we go with that. I think that we do want to sort of explore more brand awareness, which we've talked about. And I think that for us, it's, again, we're scrappy as fuck. So we're just going to keep on figuring out, because our ideas are big, our budgets are small. So to the extent that we can continue testing these micro influencers, because we don't have the massive budgets to like hire Chrissy Teigen to talk about our product, right? So, and not only that, I think we get more bang from our buck from these smaller influencers who are speaking really authentically and really beautifully and sort of in an unfiltered way about the product. And you see them as your friend or your confidant or whoever. And, my friend who's an influencer, she literally answers almost every DM that she gets.
Amazing. Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is part of that relationship building.
That's what you said about some of the influencer stuff we've done, where actually people care so much about the product, and because the topic is so important to women. Yeah. Like, actually, influencers are very open to answering questions about the product to their audience, because it is important that everyone knows the facts and don't just get caught up in hysteria or assumptions. Yeah. And with lots of products, and this one being one of them, assumptions can sometimes kill you. Yeah. And the more that we can help, and the more that you can create a strategy that answers the questions that people have, the frequently asked questions up front, that's better. Yeah. And influencers is a really nice channel to do that, because it's third party. Everyone's got their own take on it. Everyone can add their own experience. Like, it's a really nice thing to.
And there's a lot of rich data there as well. So it becomes, whereas PR can sometimes do more art than science. Yeah. Like, influencers are way more science for us than it is art in a lot of ways. But except that, because you have the data to analyze, except that with the influencers that we've had from you all have been excellent. They've been very on brand. You've done a great job of doing that for us, truly.
And obviously it delivers results, right?
It delivers results, revenue, brand awareness, clicks. Yeah.
What are the things we should be looking out for from Thinx? Like, you're talking about the 2020 plans, like what markets are you looking to go into? Like, what's the expansion plan for you guys?
When is this airing?
When is this airing?
Tomorrow.
Next week. So within the 7 days.
Oh, sorry. So some of them, there's some that I can't share yet, but
they're the exciting ones.
Yeah,
that's the exciting stuff. Well, I mean, the research report, which I kind of teased out, that's exciting. We're releasing our first print, which I can't divulge, but we have an exciting print coming. Nice. We have prints for Between, but not for Thinx at the moment. Okay. There's some good holiday stuff happening for sure. And well, as I say, we'll be in Australia again. We'll be in Melbourne and Sydney from October 24th, I believe. And we have a really cool artist collaboration that we're doing in Melbourne, and a fun new product, which I can't release yet either. There's a lot. I just want to scoop myself. We got a lot happening.
That's great.
I think we have, our creative director said we have 12 launches between now and the end of the year.
Wow. That's a lot. That's 4 months.
As in product launches, or like these
product colors
and
shit happening.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Great for your role as well.
Yeah.
Busy. Yeah, you would be all over the world as well, right?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to travel?
London.
Correct answer.
Obviously.
5 points. It's
Drake.
Drake's. I know.
Sleeping.
You've traveled over from London with Drake.
Yeah.
Is this the first time he's traveled countries?
Yes. So it is a very hard process to get a dog from America to the UK.
Right. And you want to get it done before Brexit.
Right. Because they no longer quarantine the dogs. But it requires a very carefully timed, very expensive series of papers that need to be signed, notarized, double signed, checked. He was met at the gangway at Heathrow by Heathrow Animal Reception.
Wow. Okay.
With a sign that said Drake. Maltese.
People must have been so excited.
I'm not kidding.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh my
so
gosh, I
funny.
didn't even think about that. They probably thought that Drake
where?
Drake
Where
wasn't
is
on my
he?
plane.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, Jake, I hope you're listening, mate. You cost your mum a fortune to get you, and passports as well.
Yeah, he's gonna get a pet passport.
I like that.
Adorable.
He had to get like this like blood thing happening, and it had to, because of Brexit, for him to have freedom of movement. So y'all will have to travel on his passport.
Yeah, I reckon I don't think I'd get away with his ID.
No.
I don't think I would. Grow my beard.
Grow the beard.
I might be okay.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to go more freely than we will.
Yeah, you're right.
He's a lucky boy, isn't he?
He's
You're
a
right.
lucky boy.
And what are you trying to what are you trying to do in London whilst you're here?
I mean, well, obviously hang out with you guys. And then I got a bunch of meetings tomorrow.
It is. How exciting.
We're launching in John Lewis. I should mention that.
Amazing.
That's
Massive.
big.
That's an exciting
Sorry.
thing. Let's go back one.
Yeah, we're launching in John. I'm like, where are my meetings tomorrow? I have a meeting in John Lewis tomorrow.
That's very exciting.
So we'll be in White City and one more door, but I can't remember which, or I don't know if it's been decided yet. But
Okay, that's
John
great.
How
Lewis.
long is the Selfridges one there for?
Selfridge is there indefinitely until they kick us out.
Amazing.
But we're currently at
Some
Selfridges.
high profile
Yeah.
shops in the UK.
high profile
Yeah.
ones,
We'll be at John Lewis as of this week. We should be in store now. And we have a small test happening at Boots in Covent Garden.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's a really
Brilliant.
That's a really good one for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
demographic.
Yeah. So Boots, it's one of those new concept stores. Looks more like a Sephora than it does a Boots.
Gotcha.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I've not been in one of those. Have you feel like you have?
Oh yeah, no, I've been in many a Boots. I know exactly the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll go in there and buy loads.
Yeah,
All right.
Are they
excellent.
put next to tampons?
Yes, they are.
Like
They
positioning.
are in the fem care aisle.
Great.
Yeah.
How open were they? So Selfridges, John Lewis. Obviously, you can't.
Yeah.
Sure, you can't say whatever. But like, was it an easy conversation? Was it like we want to sell things, and they went, yeah, or was it?
No, it was not easy. And in fact, we had our displays up. I think maybe even you were there. And our CEO was approached by, I don't know, the director of merchandising or something, and said, "Why are these up? We can't say period at Selfridges."
Wow.
So we had to change our displays. That was a
Really?
year ago when we first launched in Selfridges. So they said period proof underwear, and then it changed to rethink your cycle.
This is what I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. Yes.
But having said that, fast forward a year and we're in the shop window.
Front shop
fucking
window.
That's great.
Sponsorship,
Yeah. Look, if Selfridges can evolve, so can everybody else.
What?
Absolutely.
I'm not a huge knowledge base on the tampon market, but I feel like Boots would have their own brand.
Mhm.
Do they have their own brand? I feel like they would.
Absorbent underwear?
No,
Of tampons. I don't know.
Just because I'm thinking how open would they have been to put your product in the same aisle as something that they're selling as their own brand
Right.
that's directly competing with it,
Right.
taking you out of the
Right. Our
Tampon.
price point is
It's completely
far
different.
too high for it to
That's
really
true.
be
So
in
you're
the same
looking-
competitive like tranche. Yeah.
Would you choose to put them by the tampon sanitary shops?
Absolutely.
Or is it, that's where they want. That's where you want them.
Well,
Absolutely.
that's your captive audience.
Of course, yeah, I know. I just wonder if it's like
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, it's just to show that you're a real viable alternative to the incumbents, right? So, I mean, if you're put elsewhere, let's say by the pantyhose, like, what is it? Then you don't really understand what it is either. So,
yeah, makes sense.
And other than working with Will Marsh, as the last question, other than working with Will Marsh, why have you enjoyed working with Goat?
I mean, you guys really get our brand voice. You get our brand. You're so responsive. Will Marsh, obviously, and Hallie in the US. Hallie in the US. Can't forget Hallie.
You can never forget
Come
Hallie.
on. What a joy she is.
Will Marsh kicked it all off in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've done they're doing a much better job. With it.
But to be able to have like men that work on the account and women that work on the account that truly get the brand. I mean, I think that speaks a lot to how far we've come as well, isn't it? So, your reports are great. I love the data that we see. We have wackadoodle ideas, and you guys are like, sure.
Yeah, sure, of course you can.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Which might make us wacky.
yeah. I'm like, I
Well, you
need
got
an
me and Hallie,
influencer
so-
tomorrow for $5. Sure.
Sure. Scrappy as fuck we are.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, look, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I know we're
it's such a
all
joy.
keen to go outside to the lovely bar down there, which is getting increasingly busy.
With lots of blue button-down shirts.
Yeah, it's very city boy around here.
Aye.
We're looking out. If you're not a watcher of the daily vlog, we are in Finsbury Square in London, and we're kind of in the city. We're in between Shoreditch and the city, so you get a kind of mix between hipsters and city boys.
We are like on the line. So if you were to draw a line, probably along here. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody down here is bankers and investors and whatever. Yeah. Everybody that way is agencies and like artists and creators.
Literally, we are like right. Finsbury Square is the middle of the line.
Yeah.
I think there are about 95% light blue button-down shirts and dark blue trousers.
Well, we're gonna go and change.
Let's
things
mix it up.
Drake's gonna terrorize them for a bit.
Exactly. Well, look, it's been
excellent.
An absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for coming to the office.
Anytime.
Well. And can't wait to come.
Bring me out again.
Can't wait to come and see you in the US.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, CJ.